Thank you so much. Thank you for being patient and coming out on this rainy, lovely day. So recess, if you don't know, it's an acronym. It stands for Recreation, Education, Community, Exercise, Service, and Social. And y'all, that's a mouthful to say all the time. But that is what it is. So everything we do in programming revolves around those 6 focus areas. Obviously, we cannot cram all of those things into one day. And so we kind of scatter our calendar out to make sure we hit all of those areas during our each one of our sessions. So what is exactly recess? So recess is a place where adults with diverse abilities can come and learn new skills. It's a place for them to connect with others, and it's a place for them to gain a sense of belonging. We have found that after high school, there's not a whole lot of programming in Greenville for adults. And so that was one reason why recess was created. It was created out of one of our participants, his name is Henry, should have put a picture in here, but he had graduated high school, and his mom worked in our custodial department at our East Side Y. And she didn't have anywhere for him to go while she worked. So he came to the Y with her when she worked. And so for 4 hours during her shift, he would just hang out at the Y. And he was very well loved. And he would get on the cardio machines. He would grab a broom and sweep. He would talk to members. He would help at the desk, whatever he could do during those 4 hours. But then he realized there was nothing for him and his friends to do. He noticed all kinds of other programs going on. And so he said to the director, why isn't there anything for me and my friends? And so that kind of hit home, because our mission is that we serve all. And so it kind of put the wheels in motion for recess. And within a few months, the leadership had connected with the Barbara Stone Foundation, and they helped to provide the guidance to start recess. And so that was 11 years ago. And Barbara Stone Foundation has been a huge partner for our program ever since. So, okay, so when we started out 11 years ago, we had 5 participants that were pretty much hand selected by the Barbara Stone Foundation for us. And then we quickly grew because of out of need for programming in the area. So currently we have locations at our Kane Halter Family YMCA, which is here in Greenville, about 10 minutes down the road. We have participants can either come 2 days a week or 3 days a week. We also have a class in Simpsonville out of our Prisma Health Family YMCA, and that class is a 3-day option. And then we also have a class out of our Taylor's East Side Family YMCA, and that one is also a 2-day or a 3-day option class. And then hot off the press, coming soon in March 2025, we are so excited to be able to open a new class in Travelers Rest with our George I. Tyson Family YMCA. That will be a 2-day option, and we're still working out those details of which 2 days that will be. So who can come to recess? I get that question a lot. So we have a couple of criteria that we have to maintain in order for safety. They do have to have completed high school. And so in Greenville, as you probably all know, they can stay in school until they're 21, but some of our participants have gone to private schools, or they might have been homeschooled. So we do allow them to start at the age of 18 if they have chosen to complete and not return back to high school. We do not want to compete with school. We want them to finish the schooling that they are able to finish before they come to us. Our ratios are 1 staff member for every 6 participants. So in order to maintain the safety, that those individuals would definitely need to stay within our ratios that we have for our staff. And then we also ask that they're able to use the restroom independently. And the reason for that is because of our safety policies that we have at the Y for child abuse prevention that correlates with vulnerable adult populations. And then we always have a waiting list. So we added this one. We definitely want them to want to come, and we want them to have a desire to participate. Because we have a waiting list, we don't want someone holding up a spot who doesn't attend regularly or sits in the background and doesn't consistently participate in our activities. So we are super proud of our participant numbers that we are serving right now. At our Kane Halter Y, we're serving 30 participants. At our East, it says Eastminster, but that's the association with the Simpsonville Y. We are serving 26. In Taylor's, we're serving 27. And when we open in Travelers Rest, we'll be able to serve 12 when we open. So that will put us nearly 100 participants that we're serving in Greenville County every week. So there is an application process to be able to be involved with recess. We have an application that asks a lot of information that we can see on paper. And then once we receive those applications, we schedule what we call is a family intake. And that is a time for the families. It could be mom, dad, participant, brother, sister, whoever wants to come and learn about the program. But it's just a time for us to sit down and meet the participant, meet the parents, kind of review our policies and our procedures, make sure that they meet our eligibility criteria. And I think the most important of that family intake is for the families to see the facility, the classroom space, you know, where am I going to be dropping them off? Where am I going to be picking them up? So it eliminates some of those first day jitters to have that meeting. And then that team of that family intake will determine when that participant can start based off of our wait list. I'm going to hand the microphone over to Leanne. Leanne is our site lead at Kane Halter, and she is the only staff member who's been here since the very beginning. She probably knows more than I do.
That's not true. We thought it would be nice if we spent a few minutes talking about what we actually do. Rebecca covered where we are and who's eligible and how you can apply. But what do we do on any given day? And each day is different, and each day is different at each site because each site lead plans his or her own curriculum based on the individuals that they have in class. So one example that we wanted to highlight was a CPR first aid lesson. So we have lots of folks at the Y who have expertise in many different areas. The lifeguards that we have actually save lives. And so they've come into our various locations and done just a basic CPR, what to do in case of emergency or what not to do in case of emergency, what is an emergency. Civic responsibility, which I think also goes hand in hand with community involvement. Lots of our community partners are here today. Hobnob, David's Table, Theater Center. If you see a bus, a Y bus on the road in the mornings, chances are it's us going somewhere. Because we're in the community, we actually need to physically be in the community, out and about, doing things, being responsible. Our Simpsonville class recently registered a couple of folks to vote, did a mock election, fill out a ballot. I also visited with the mayor of Fountain Inn and Malden, or the mayors of Fountain Inn and Malden. Learned a little bit about what that job entails, toured the county offices. So learning to be responsible citizens and being part of their community. We've invited folks from the fire and police department on several occasions, teaching us how to keep ourselves safe and how to help them keep ourselves safe. And because we are the Y, we spend a lot of time on making healthy choices, exercising, making healthy things to eat, going to the grocery store, buying those ingredients, trying new vegetables, cooking vegetables, making salads. You can think, if you think of a healthy dish, we've probably made it and eaten it. We also use part of those skills to raise money for our Open Doors campaign. We've made little energy bites for several years, and we sell those to raise money for the Y. So we could have talked on that slide for our whole time, because we get really excited about what we do on a daily basis and the places that we go and the people that we meet. But these are two of our participants. One is here today. The first young man, his name is Archie Moore. He couldn't be here today. However, he gave us permission to share a little bit about his story. Archie just turned 21. He was part of a homeschool program. He finished his program, graduated, and was a little at odds about what could come next. And during this time, his siblings were in the process, who were twins, were in the process of interviewing for colleges, visiting colleges, talking about moving away from home. And that left Archie wondering, obviously, well, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? And his mom shared that that is a picture of him actually preparing for his recess interview, which was going to be the next day. He's been participating at our East Side location now. And our second young lady is here. Her name is Maureen Holiday. And she participates at our Simpsonville location. And I'd like to invite her up to give her take on recess. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Maureen Holiday. I am 26 years old and I love watching Detroit Tigers baseball, listening to a lot of different types of music, and playing adaptive golf. Also, I have spina bifida and hydrocephalus. I've had over 50 surgeries, most on my brain and spine. This means it is difficult for me to remember a lot of things, and I have a hard time finding my way around new places. I've been going to recess in Simpsonville for 2 years and I love it. I have fun and I'm making new friends and learning how to do things in the community. Recess gives me something to look forward to, and I'm excited when I get up and it's a recess day. I go on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Some days we stay in, and other days we go out in the YMCA buses to do things in the community. When we stay in, we play games, do art projects, and thank you cards, or work with the Applied Theater Group. I love when we play Night at the Museum with the theater group. I am not good at it because I laugh too much, but I have a lot of fun. My favorite things to do in the community are going to Inspire Coffee House, going to Top Golf, bowling, playing bingo at Windsor House, going to the mall, and watching a Swamp Rabbit hockey game. I really like when our friends from St. Joseph's School join us for our fun activities. Everyone is so nice and they help us. Our teacher, George, has a good sense of humor and allows my sarcasm. A fun part of my day is when George plays Jolene by Dolly Parton. He knows that I've been getting really tired of listening to it every day. And I beg him to let me go get my headphones so I don't have to listen to it. Every once in a while, if I don't get my headphones out in time, I will catch the first 10 to 15 seconds of it. Then I will give him the stink eye or an eye roll and a smile and a head shake. It's a fun joke we have. I love the other teachers too, and they all have a sense of humor, and I learn a lot from them. Susie has come to watch me and some other classmates play our Malden Miracle League baseball games. We talk about the game the next day at recess. I really love the good friends I'm making. Thank you for listening, and thank you, Rebecca, for all the work you do to make this program for us.
Thank you.
These are just two of our folks, and like Rebecca said, we've got over 80 now, and we're gonna hit 100 soon. So we thought it would be nice to share a few more faces with a video that was made last year to commemorate our 10th year anniversary. So let me see if it will cooperate. Yeah. Oh.
No sound.
We can at least see their faces.
We played Jolie.
No.
It's on my body.
I have sent a link of this video to everyone that signed up today, so you'll have that in the virtual link that I sent out.
And we could narrate a lot of these scenes. The comments down here, we have a gentleman that's in our program that works on Fridays. And so we visited with him, Unity Park, we're able to work out at the Y. Special Olympics, we've done every year for probably at least spring games every year since, probably 2014. Gentleman saying how much he loves what he likes to do at reset.
Sean is talking about how when he's at recess, he's not by himself sitting at home. And he used the words isolated. Jesse's talking about how much he comes and he loves to be with friends. Lisa is one of our parents and she's talking about how it's just, how good it is not just for her daughter, Hannah, but good for their whole family. Because she has somewhere to go and not just be sitting at home.
And have things to talk about when they get home. That they've been around other people and done different activities and.
Most of you, I think, probably know Rachel. She's talking about, again, how she likes to come to recess and have her friends, time with her friends outside of family life. She's again just talking about how it helps her family.
Oops, I went too far. Anyway, we would like to, I went too far, get that last one. we'd like to open it up to questions or thoughts, or if you got some ideas or know of a resource that we are not utilizing yet. This is just some information, some of what we've already covered, some more community partners that we have. But yeah, any questions or thoughts?
So you have a 1-to-6 ratio. Is it because that's how many volunteers you have to help? And you have to not let people come until you get another one is that what determines the
And
size? Because
We do have volunteers that help us, but we've got set staff at each location that are employed by the Y.
So how much more can some of the openings you have handle? Like one had 26, one had, TR didn't have theirs. I know it's opening, but what determines, was that pretty much the limits that you were showing?
Like in my class, for example, there are 4 instructors, and sometimes we pull in a 5th person to help. And I have 18 participants if they're all there. Each situation or each class is a little bit different. In my particular class, I have 2 wheelchairs, a 3rd wheelchair sometimes, and an individual who is vision impaired. So that's a little bit more. And those wheelchairs, when they first started, they weren't in the wheelchair. They've transitioned into wheelchairs. So it's a little bit different situation. And we've let those individuals stay on because they have been with us. So
I guess what I'm asking is, I think this is an amazing program. I just hate to, how soon would there be an opening for some people? Like, how long is your waiting list if you start spreading this word? What is the wait where the parents, it's like, well, it's gonna be a year or 2 years,
Yeah, so there, to be honest, there will always be a waiting list. And so based on our classroom space, we can't fit more than 24 in a classroom at a time. So we wouldn't, even if we had another staff member, we couldn't physically put 61 individuals in that class space. So 24 is the largest that we have. Some of those sites where you saw extra numbers is because some come on off days, different days. There.
for some folks might share a slot because they live with their one parent 1 week and another parent another week. So
Is there a length of time that an individual can stay in a program before they need to leave and have to open up to someone else before coming back in?
they can stay as long as they want. And I don't know the data on how many have left, but I would venture to guess that over 90%, once they're in, they stay. The only reason usually why they leave is because they're moving or they get a more full-time placement.
Another question, is there the follow of life individuals that have gone and are going to program have benefited from going versus 10 years later or 5 years later, you can have to follow up and that.
I don't mind taking that one. So we don't do any specific, like a benchmark to see how they're growing, but I will tell you, one example that we have, and then maybe Martin can speak to this a little bit too, or her mom, put her on the spot. But, we had a girl in Simpsonville who came to our program, and she's verbal, but she most of the time doesn't speak. So you would think that she's not verbal. But when she, her whole life, I think she came to us at 22, 23. When she went to the doctor, her mom always went in with her, and her mom always communicated for her at the doctor's office. And then, she started attending recess, and within, I think it was the first year, or maybe the second, it wasn't very long. Her mom came and told us that she was so surprised because she took her daughter to the doctor. The doctor asked her a question and she just before her mom even got a chance to start talking, she started communicating to the doctor her health issues that they were talking about. And when they got back, like mom's jaw is dropping, because this is the first time it had ever happened. And they got back to the car and she said, where did that come from? And she said, recess taught me to speak up for myself. And so that was a huge growth point for her. So I don't have statistics to show you on paper, but we see those growth points every day with them. Yeah, you have anything to add to that? But you're on spot.
We have lots of anecdotal stories that we hear all the time.
Sorry, you had said before that you had allowed people to stay when they transition into a wheelchair. Are people in wheelchairs not generally allowed to come?
They are, but, and Skeeter's here, so I'll talk about that a little bit. They are, but the Y did not have buses to transport them. So if we were going on a field trip, it was put upon the parent to coordinate to meet us somewhere or to not come that day, which is awful because we're a program for those folks. So why would we not? So, David's Table did a fundraiser. They were recipients of Spirit Week money from Woodmont, I think. And they got a lift bus and offered the use of their lift bus. And that has actually started just this semester. So we're able to transport. And I personally have 3 individuals that use a wheelchair, but one of those can stand to move to the bus and back.
So, I'm sorry, one more question then. Transportation, you said, so people, parents or family members bring them to and from the program, right? They're not transportation to and from the program?
Right.
Yeah, and just one clarification on the wheelchairs. They can come if they use a wheelchair, but they do still have to be able to toilet fairly independently. If they need help getting out of the wheelchair onto the toilet, that's fine. But we would want them to be able to be in there by themselves and handle the hygiene out of that as well.
What is the median age of the client?
29.
Oh, is it supported by medical? Or is that?
No, it is, we have program fees that the families pay, and that does not support the whole program. So we do rely on generous donors. The YMCA of Greenville has a foundation that supports our program pretty heavily. Barbara Stone Foundation has supported our program since its inception. We have a couple of other local foundations that have supported us. Davos All-In Foundation always supports our program. And then obviously individual donors that want to donate as well.
If you have an individual that cannot toilet independently, would you allow like one-on-one aid that the parent provides for them to be able to attend, or does it have to be strictly?
We would consider that on a case-by-case basis. We have had situations where we have had caregivers come and be the one-on-one with them. But the caregivers, we have very high expectations for our staff. And so what we have found is that some of the respite caregivers don't hold up to those expectations that we would hold our staff to. And so there is some, so yes, we would just have to consider that to make sure that they are providing the level of care that we would expect them to.
The days and what are the time?
9 to 1. Mhm.
Is there other functionality requirements other than solution? Yeah. Other.
Short answer, no. Our big thing is it's because we're out so much, if a person has a tendency to run or try to get away from the group, that would probably be prohibitive. But we've got loads of different ability levels, verbal, nonverbal, physical restrictions, and yeah. As long as, pretty much as long as they want to be there, and have a good time, that's kind of the bar.
Can you mention the cost?
If the cost is, for the 3-day class, it is $85 a week. And then for the 2-day class, it is $58. We do offer financial assistance, to anyone who needs it. At the Y, we strongly believe everyone should be able to participate and have access to any programs that we offer. And so if that's a barrier for families, they can apply for financial assistance on that. And that's what some of the, Leanne had mentioned, raising money for the Y, she had mentioned that, so we also, during our program, we do things to help, support that financial assistance, a lot of money to be able to pull that in to help.
How do you determine the class makeup for these activities that you buy individually? Just who's up whoever is wanting to do, or do you have some language that yeah.
We try as much as possible to let that be parent led, based on their preference of location. We can't always support that. For instance, in Land's class, she has 3 wheelchairs and 1 with a vision cane. Even with 4 staff members and 5 when they go out in the community, it's just not physically possible to have another wheelchair in her class with the staff that we have. So we would have to maybe adjust if there were someone that were wanting her class to be in her class. We would have to make adjustments with that family. But for the most part, we do allow that to be parent choice.
And say there's, let's just say, for instance, I don't have a waiting list for my class. But an individual really wants Simpsonville, they could start at Cane Halter with the hope of getting into Simpsonville later if a spot opens up. We kind of say, take the spot you can get if you're able to have transportation, and then move into a different spot as a place comes up. But until we open another site, we're limited on the sites or on the individuals that we can have.
Can you say the percentage of people wanting to be a part of the program versus those who are part, that the percentage of people are not able or are to say,
Right now, we were able to get some off of our waiting list, this past fall. And so I think, I don't know that exact number off the top of my head, but I think it's somewhere around 10 to 12.
People are with that usually constant.
Yes. Yeah.
And how many more people would you say this kind of we can later? How many people would say would benefit from the program, but are not waiting list because they're unaware, don't have the research, unaware of the program?
That's probably a pretty high number, but I don't know what that would be. I think where the hard part is every spring, every May or June, you have individuals graduating from high school, right? But if we only have, if you think of Greenville County, how many high schools we have, and then how many special ed classes that, would be the right fit. I can't imagine how many individuals are graduating every May or June. That's when I usually get the highest number on my waiting list is usually from March to August, because that's when families are realizing, oh my goodness, what's coming next after they graduate. So I get a lot of, very high waiting list for that period of time. And then we try to get in as many as we can. There are some that we just can't serve during our spring and fall sessions. But we do, welcome, if they meet our eligibility criteria, we do welcome them to attend our summer evening programs if there's space available, just so they have something to connect to. But yeah, so, and because for our classes that you asked earlier, is that, do they age out at any point, or do they stop coming? Once they're here, our retention rate is 91%. So once they're there, they don't leave. So unless we open a new class, we really don't have a lot of open spots come available. So this Travelers Rest class will be filled probably by the time we start in March. I would be shocked if it's not. Go ahead. If we need to, we can talk later afterwards too.
Your retention rate is fantastic. So what's gonna be for that 90% not coming back? I mean, if I may ask.
Sure, absolutely. We've had a few of our individuals have gotten part-time jobs, or some of them even were able to get a full-time job where their schedules, it was just too exhausting to try to do both. We've had some that have moved out of state or out of the area. Some it could be a transportation issue with the family because of the couple of houses. Those are typically, usually it's logistics like that. Very rarely is it because we have said you cannot come back. That has happened in 11 years, I think, maybe three times. And that's for just maybe behavioral issues or medical issues that we're just not capable of. Any other questions?
Okay, well, would everyone help me give a round of applause to Rebecca, Maren, and Leanne?